Do you truly understand the mind behind Gotham's deepest fears? From his chilling debuts in Arkham Asylum to his terrifying mastery in Arkham Knight, Scarecrow's evolution is more than just a villain's rise. It's a terrifying psychological journey. We're dissecting every twisted step of his character arc, uncovering the moments that transformed him into Batman's ultimate nightmare. Forget everything you thought you knew about Scarecrow. While other Arkham villains might seem straightforward, Jonathan Crane's path from a seemingly minor threat to Gotham's psychological puppet master is one of the series' most underrated achievements. Prepare to uncover the hidden depths and pivotal shifts that made him truly terrifying, often right under your nose. Scarecrow isn't just a villain you fight, he's an experience that evolves with every Arkham game. But did you ever truly stop to appreciate the meticulous way his character was crafted from a fledgling fearmonger to a citywide terror? This isn't just a breakdown, it's an innovation to see Scarecrow's entire Arkham journey in a horrifying new light. The architect of fear, Dr. Jonathan Crane's debut. According to the timeline, that would be Batman Arkham Shadow. Well, of course, that was just a very minor appearance, and that was before he ever became Scarecrow. The introduction to Scarecrow in Arkham Asylum, his initial, more traditional role as a master of fear toxins and psychological manipulation, deeply rooted in his psychiatric background. The first time we get to see Scarecrow in the game was at a random time where he affects Batman with his fear gas without Batman even knowing, finding Jim Gordon lifeless on the ground. Of course, that was just an illusion from Scarecrow's fear gas. He ends up going to a morgue, and there is 3 body bags in total. One has his mother in it, and the other has his father in it, and he's imagining them talking to him. When he opens up the third, Scarecrow's in it, and he jump scares him. Then the first Scarecrow nightmare starts. Or the first boss fight with him, where you're in this supernatural-like world that has a terrifying atmosphere, and Batman beats Scarecrow by making it to the end and shining a bright light on Scarecrow. His character was mainly focused in Arkham Asylum. His approach was more constant and relentless than we see in the future during Arkham Knight, showing his more unexperienced self. How he's also willing to take more risks and also be impatient, maybe even overconfident that what he's doing will work. However, we see every time Batman gets into an encounter with Scarecrow, he ends up getting out of it. His early tactics and limited scope were pretty much to try to scare Batman, be annoying, and get in his way. He primarily served as a villain for a specific section of the game, showcasing his established methods rather than significant growth. There's subtle hints of his underlying desire of control and widespread fear, setting the stage for future developments. While his approach was unique and scary, even unexpected, it wasn't enough to put an end to Batman. And like I mentioned before, him willing to take risks. While Batman was in the sewer, he appeared out of nowhere, threatening to drop a bag full with his fear toxin into the city's water. However, Killer Croc unexpectedly shows up, jumping out of the water, grabbing Scarecrow, and jumping back in the water with him, with the bag falling out of Scarecrow's hand before Killer Croc took him in the water. You could say this shows how Scarecrow was overconfident and inexperienced because he didn't seem too aware of the possibility Killer Croc was in the water. I also say this because of how much Scarecrow changed his approach in Arkham Knight, and in comparison to Arkham Asylum, you can see his first approach was much more riskier and he wasn't as careful, did not really have too much of a great plan. Origins of a Nightmare, Arkham City's lingering shadow. Scarecrow's unseen presence and escalating threat in Arkham City, discussing how his absence paradoxically amplified his mystique and foreshadowed his next move. He was still around secretly during Arkham City, planning stuff for what he would do during Arkham Knight. In Arkham City, he was coming up with his big plan and growing from his past experience in Arkham Asylum, taking the experience he had and figuring out how to change his approach to get what he wanted and to be a more dangerous threat, also even more unpredictable and mysterious. Examining the environmental storytelling related to him, deciphering the cryptic clues and abandoned fear gas canisters that hint at his continued experimentation and sinister plans. You can find his secret room in Arkham City on a boat, with an entry being a secret hatch on the boat. Inside, you can find a hostage who Scarecrow's been experimenting on, along with a receipt with his name on it, and many different types of insects. It seems this is where Scarecrow is staying most of the time in between Asylum and Night, while he was planning his comeback and testing out maybe his new and improved fear toxin. This also fits his character perfectly because he's always been mysterious and unusual. So for him to be hiding out in some random boat just seems like something he would do. And the Easter egg really made us feel like he still had presence in the Arkham games, even though we never got to see him in Arkham City. The chilling implication of his escape, how his ability to vanish from the confined city signaled a new level of cunning and a greater threat emerging. It showed he was much more capable. He had planned something out, had changed, was going for a little bit different of an approach, and that he could be independent and not have to count on any previous environmental support. He was willing to take steps like this to improve, and that he's great at being able to think for himself successfully. The apex of fear, Scarecrow's ideology and impact. Analyzing Scarecrow's ultimate goals and his philosophical motivations in Arkham Knight, delving into his desire to expose humanity's inherent fear and dismantle Batman's symbol. So he was focused on during Arkham Knight, scaring everyone, making them leave Gotham. In the beginning, he made everyone evacuate on the buses because he made them believe that not even Batman could stop him. What he was saying was destiny, undoubtedly, really getting to the minds of all the citizens. His mysterious and terrifying gimmick definitely contributed to this. He warned Gotham. They took it seriously. His whole plan was to go after Batman. He wanted to destroy Batman. He wanted Batman afraid and scared. He wants everyone to have fear. Like we see at the end of Arkham Knight, how he unmasks Batman, trying to take away from who he is, as if he's just some regular person, and then trying to inject him with the fear toxin and leave him in a fearful and afraid state. The terrifying effectiveness of his fear toxin on a mass scale, discussing how his refined toxin created a city-wide panic, pushing Batman to his absolute limits. He made an extremely dangerous, difficult, and big situation, putting fear in all of Gotham, them seeing him as a very big threat, Batman also having to deal with the effects of all the citizens being so afraid, and the fear toxin being used on him really weighed him down, due to it being such a useful and dangerous tool, not only making Batman and others completely lost and afraid, but when used on others, it also helps keep Scarecrow himself safe, since they're so lost when infected with it. His final confrontation with Batman and the implications of his defeat, examining the psychological toll his actions took on both Batman and Gotham. It made Gotham a ghost town, completely abandoned with all the citizens gone, only criminals roaming the streets, leaving the city in a rundown and bad state, making Batman reveal who he is in front of all of Gotham, which blew his cover and is gonna give him trouble. Scarecrow used the fear toxin on Batman at the end. Now, of course, it didn't work on Batman and he wasn't afraid. However, everything Batman had to go through and what he had to do to protect the city led him, at the end of the game, to blowing up Wayne Manor, his unsettling partnership with the Arkham Knight, exploring how his alliance amplified his capabilities and solidified his position as Batman's ultimate psychological adversary. He used Jason Todd, aka the Arkham Knight, who Batman didn't know was Jason Jason Todd to his advantage. The Arkham Knight causing problems for Batman and going after him. Batman also having to worry about another villain now who seems very capable. And then when he does find out that the Arkham Knight is Jason Todd, this will put him through even more stress because that means that Jason's turned against him and is no longer on his side, which can give him more mental and emotional stress and another challenge to deal with because he wants Jason on his side. From psychiatrist to puppet master, Scarecrow's enduring legacy. Summarizing Scarecrow's complete character arc from a contained threat to Gotham's greatest psychological terror, tracing his evolution across the series. In the beginning of the series, he was a very unusual and scary villain who was independent and got amusement from what he was doing. Seemed to have some emotion, but wasn't that capable, at least not yet, because later, by Arkham Knight, he's much more serious, much more emotionless, and is a much greater threat, taking over the whole city and almost succeeding. The lasting impact of his methods and philosophy on the Arkhamverse, discussing how his actions profoundly changed Batman in the city. After what happened, this is going to leave the city in a state where it's going to have to slowly be built back up because of the uncertainty and what happened previously. It's also changed Batman because now it will never be the same for him. His identity is out there, and the actions he had to take after defeating Scarecrow, like blowing up Wayne Manor, will change his life. And he never wanted his identity to be revealed. Why Scarecrow remains one of Batman's most compelling and terrifying villains, concluding on his unique blend of scientific genius and profound understanding of fear. He is very intelligent, previously working as a psychiatrist. He understands humans' emotions, how they think, how the mind works. And since he's so into fear and believes everyone should be afraid, he uses his understanding to his advantage, using tricks to make people afraid and doing the right things to make them afraid, because he knows what will work on the human mind, especially with his fear toxin and the way he made it. It's incredibly effective. So all of this leads to him being so successful, capable, and such a dangerous threat. Let me know in the comments, which Arkham game was Scarecrow better in? Arkham Asylum or Arkham Knight? And is Scarecrow the scariest villain? Is he one of the most dangerous Batman villains? Guys, remember to subscribe and to turn on notifications. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in another Cosmic Chaos video. Bye.